my father. And when I stand and look back, I see myself in the shoes of my father. I don't know, but it's just reflection, just a reflection. So what is your parenting style as a parent? And how do you see yourself with your children? Psychologists, I'm very sure our counseling psychologists will help us to share more on this, but just allow me to share that screen with clarity on the 4 parenting styles. And those parenting styles are authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and uninvolved. In the deeper perspective, authoritative are very firm and consistent, monitoring the impact and the clear standards of their children's conduct. They are very, very attentive to the details, forgiving. They are high in responsiveness and also high in control. On the other hand, we have permissive. Permissive, they are low, they are high in control, and also still high in responsiveness, frequent expression of warmth, enforcement. The enforcement is low. Their acceptance of their children is very high. They allow their children to make their own decisions. And when it comes to the punishment, they are minimal. Yeah. Now, authoritarian, they are low in responsiveness. They are low in responsiveness, and they are also low in high control. Firm in control of practices. They work mostly with expectation and expect strict and questioned obedience to parental authority. Yeah. Not ready to accept individuality of a child. They want to treat all children equal. I remember one of the lessons that you are taught about children is that there is no manual for a child. And when you treat them, you treat differently because they are all different. Little communication between the parent and the child. There is very little communication because of authoritarian. And they are also highly directive behaviors. Fanya hii, fanya hii. That is the directive. Fanya hii. Eh? In the police fraternity, you are told you don't question the authority. Eh? Unatii amri, maswali baadaye. Now, the last part. Yes, they call it neglect. But the other perspective calls it uninvolved, interactive, inattentive behavior. The child is neglected. The child has a very little interaction with the parent. So most of the things, it is the child to make decision on what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. In a nutshell, says that all these 4 parenting styles have their own weaknesses and their own strengths that needs to be worked on. I am a parent. When I read through this, I see myself somewhere. I see myself in a position where I need improvement in some of those areas so that I relate well with my children. When I look back, I note that, there's a big difference between raising up a child those years and now. Some of us were raised up in the village setting. Some of us were raised up in an urban setting. Some of us who are raised up in the village setting have an opportunity to raise our children in an urban setting. Some of our work commitments have led to a number of challenges even in the parenting styles. And those are some of the issues that it's important that maybe in an open forum we can share together. But also, as I highlight some biblical examples, we have a role and responsibility. In the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15, it says that, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. The decision and the responsibility that lies with us as parents is so huge. Not just academic, behavior, character molding, spiritual growth, economic empowerment, exposing our children in terms of life skills. There are lessons that are never taught anywhere else other than in the family setting. One of those lessons, for example, is communication. It is a very basic lesson that our children get from the word go in the family setting. Another biblical example is the one for Abraham. I don't know which category we can put Joshua, because he made a decision for him and his house to serve the Lord. Abraham, he went to sacrifice his son, and he didn't tell the son that I'm going to sacrifice you. So I don't know which parenting style is that, but I was just for our own reflection, if you reflect and think through, what parenting style could that be for Abraham? For the 21st century, there are a number of things that are very important just to remind us. I'm also reminding myself that for me to relate well as a 21st century parent, it is important that I tell my children that I love them. Tell your children that you love them. There are basics as that. Eat dinner with them. Children learn valuable communication skills and life lessons around the dinner table. Very basic communication skills. Number 3, just hug when they ask, and you don't have to wait until they ask. I don't have to wait until they ask. Pick up your child and hug them. Some of the challenges that we are experiencing with our young people, the teens, is because of lack of limited personal touch in the family. Ask questions, get to know your child. I want to give you an example. I have worked as a counselor in a rehabilitation center, and there's a time we got a client, and the boy had been smoking He had smoked for 15 years, and the father and the mother never knew for those 15 years until the day he developed throat cancer. So ask questions, be curious. If you must choose a very difficult one, number 5, you must choose work over time with your child. Let it be a anomaly. I know this is where the rubber meets the road. Most of the challenges that we are facing is because of absence due to work-related commitments. And therefore, it is important that at times we make critical choices to be present for our children. Model kindness. Kindness is modeled at the family level. Kindness. When you meet, you know, I'm just saying this because in our schools nowadays, even kindness, we've left it to the teacher to teach them. But it is a lesson that should be modeled and taught at the family level. If you are a parent and you are smoking and you are drinking, when your child asks you to stop smoking, please stop it. I will give you a personal experience on that because my father used to drink a lot and he was addicted to both alcohol and smoking. But let me tell you one thing that really touched me, and I remember that statement to date. When we grew up to a level, we were go through the initiation process with my other two brothers. My father called the 3 of us and told us, from today, I am not going to smoke and drink. I want to leave that because I don't want to teach you this habit. That was a very, very good lesson for us. When a child offers you a gift, accept it with genuine gratitude. Some of us, mtoto akileta kazawadi, hata kama amechora, hata kama ameleta, they have done something good. They decided, I want to give daddy this, I want to give mommy this, I want to give this to my guardian. You just don't give it the attention that it deserves. Genuine gratitude. Always rescue your child from danger. There are so many dangers affecting the young people now. In an organization that I work with, we've been handling issues of teenage pregnancies. And I'm sure every one of us is so much aware that the rate of teenage pregnancies at the moment is so high that the teachers are blaming the parents, that parents, we gave you children to take care of them. Now it is becoming a problem. So rescue them from danger of alcohol and drug abuse, of teenage pregnancies, and many other issues, addictions that are coming to the young people, including pornography and others. If you must discipline, remember the goal of discipline is to modify behavior, and not to hurt them. Yeah, and as I conclude, take your kids on dates. Yes, have a date with your daughter, have a date with your son, share with them, teach them. You know, those days when it comes to issues to do with sexuality, it was the role of the teacher. In some of our communities, you never talk about sexuality with your children. It is still a taboo in some of them. Some of them, you never talk about sexuality, you never talk about, you know, any of those critical personal issues. And remember, by the way, some of those, like the rule of tell your children that you love them. If you don't, others will tell them. So please do play that role. And the last one is cherish every day with your children. I don't want to go through all that. I know you know them, but I was just reminding us, cherish every day with your children. Our children are at home. They need attention. They need support from us. They need direction. If we don't offer that leadership, direction, guidance, somebody else will mislead them. So we have that opportunity to lead them and to show them the way. Yeah. Mentor Austin.
Yes, sir.
I think on my part, my role was just to remind all of us of our role and to share briefly, because some of these challenges that we are sharing about parenting styles, about the challenges of the 21st century, all of us are aware as parents. But the most important thing is to remind every one of us of our role and how we can do it better so that we become successful. It is said, well said, that a successful leader succeeds when their successor succeeds. So if you are a parent, you are only successful if your children have succeeded to the level that you are, and even much more better than the level that you have ever been to. So briefly, that was my time. I can give it up to another facilitator.
Thank you so much, Bwana Togom. That was a powerful presentation. Can we put our videos on and clap for appreciate Mentor Togom? The way we normally do it, we do it like this. Yes, that is how we do it. Your teams will tell you, yeah, that's a better way. Yeah, let's put our videos on. That was practically something very, those 25 rules, oh my God. Mr. Togom will give me all those rules I pin on the board somewhere in my home. I know if you practice even only 5 rules, yes, of parenting in the 21st century, the ones that we've checked today, you'll make a difference in your child's life. You will be a torch bearer. You will hand a baton of hope to your children. Parents, I'm very much pleased to have some of you here. Some of you here, we have struggled to make our children better people. And I don't want you to wait to an extent, now we start solving a problem. My son is into drugs. My son is addicted into pornography, all that. We don't need to wait till, our children are in a menace. They're deep there in the pot, They can be helped now by my effort and your effort. I'm very sure we can really help our children. These cases that I have, like in a week, you solve several cases, especially of drugs and substance abuse. These things we can control. Look at the level of pregnancy right now. And I'm very happy. Parents have realized that girl child again is in a limbo state. We had a seminar just the other day, and it was a girls' talk. The number was overwhelming than the one that we can hold here on Zoom. So we have to lock out 53 parents outside. So that tells you that we need actually to do something. I thank you for that. That was a beautiful presentation. Anyway, I want us to do, yes, we have those notes are here. After this, make sure those who don't have my number, I'll give out my number on the chat box there. Then I'll send you the notes after this. I don't want to waste a lot of time. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite one Florence Onsando. This is one lady who has done counseling. She's a counselor by profession, and she has done counseling psychology. She will help you to understand how to communicate with your child. Have you ever seen a situation whereby your child wakes up in the morning and they are not happy? They lock themselves in the room, yes, and they don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to eat, you know. How can you break conversation, a mutual conversation with your parent? I know many parents will find it very hard to have one-on-one conversation with their children. And that is why you will come home late thinking that you are evading the problem. The problem is waiting for you. It is you who must solve that problem, all right? So I want Florence Onsando to help us to understand how can we develop, a gratitude of communication, one-on-one with our children. Flo, karibu sana, karibu. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you so much. You finished at a very high note, Cherish every day with your child, every day. When my kids were small, I had a friend who used to tell me that, enjoy every stage. Her kids were big, and I envied her children who were big, mine was small. And I did not know what she meant. I understand small children, small problems. Big children, big problems. The bigger they grow. My name is Florence Onsando. I'm a counseling psychologist. And we also run a drug and substance rehabilitation center in Rongai. And we've handled a number of people through that rehab I've dealt with. And so drugs are here with us. We cannot avoid them. We just need to be aware. So today we are talking about, in the next few minutes, I'm talking about breaking communication barriers. I want to read a quote here. It says, sometimes we need someone to simply be there, not to fix anything or to do anything in particular, but just to let us feel that we are cared for and supported. Very powerful quotation. Since I learned about it, I have learned that communication is more than rules and talking and things like that. Sometimes you communicate deeper when you just sit and make someone feel that they are valued, that you love them, that you can support them. Even when you do not agree with the choice that they've made, you will still support them and even support them to seek for help. The dictionary defines communication as a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. So it's exchange of information. And so communication goes like this. We have a sender, we have a receiver. The sender sends a message and the receiver gets it and gives feedback. Through that, we have a channel mode of communication. And then as the message moves from the sender to the receiver, there's a lot of noise. The noise can be the recap. The noise can be the rules and regulations. The noise can be drugs. The noise can be what's going on in their mind. And this noise sometimes interferes with the message being received. For you to effectively communicate, then the message is received as it was intended. When the message is received the way you intended it to be, then there is communication. So we can imagine how many times we have failed to communicate because our message has not been received the way we intended. Now, there's so much we can talk about communication, but time is limited. And I believe each one of us understands we're just brushing up and encouraging one another. So I would run through it. Why the barriers? Why the barriers? That's what we want to look at. And I want to read a few scenarios here. Imagine if your son came home. I'm believing that each one of us has children, teenagers, and imagine your son came from home after spending the day coping with the peers, and they were calling him names and throwing his backpack. Imagine then if he came home and went straight into his room and locked himself. Couldn't you want to talk to him? Couldn't you want to hear about it? How about the daughter was struggling with her peers, pressuring her to take drugs? Would you want to know, parents? If your daughter fell pregnant and was frightened about the huge choices she would soon be making, would you want her to be able to come to you for help? If she chose to abort the child, I know you would want to hear about it, right? Right, parents? Would you want to hear about your daughter aborting, a teenager? Maybe if your teenager came home and told you that they are gay or a lesbian, you would say, my daughter, my son, let's sit down, tell me more about it. When did this feeling start? Is that what we will do, parents? So these are just a few scenarios that we go through every day if we have teenagers in our houses or even our friends. You know, I've been a secondary school teacher for over 15 years. I have taught in schools on both sides of the world. I have taught very poor schools, public schools, and I've taught very schools where the children are economically empowered. So I've taught on both divides. And in my time as a physical education teacher, many other subjects, I've been privileged to teach, mentor, and guide students through their teen years. And they've come to me and told me things and said, don't tell my parents. I don't want them to hear. Please, this is between me and you. But there are sometimes I've had to breed that trust because of the danger they have been in. I have also mature children. And so I have a little experience and a few lessons I've learned from them. So where did the relationship start to break down? Where did the relationship start to break down? When did it get to the point that these children no longer felt comfortable talking to their parents about their deepest fears, their hearts, and their pains? When did their problem get so big that they felt that the only person they can trust, the only person they can talk to is either their friends or their teachers? Well, honestly, as a psychologist now, we are told that most problems stem from childhood, stem from their childhood. And you know, many times as parents, we have shown children conditionally, not unconditionally. What do I mean by conditionally? We have told them that good behavior and achievement are rewarded and bad behavior is punished, nothing in between. So that shows the conditionality of our love for them. Okay? But why don't our young people talk to us? Why don't they want to talk to us? Number one, they don't want to overwhelm you. They don't want to overwhelm you. Teens can be very intuitive. And when it seems, even when it seems that they are not paying attention, they are still hearing, they are seeing things. They know your plate is full. They know you are a busy person, a CEO, a corporate leader, an accountant in a big firm. You have so much to deal with. And so they don't want to overwhelm you. And so they don't tell you many of their things. And what do they do instead? They keep things inside of themselves or they act out in harmful ways. So one reason our teens don't talk to us is because they don't want to overwhelm us. Two, they don't want you to fix their problems. As they grew up from childhood through primary, nursery, and all those levels, they know when they tell you things, you fix them out for them. And at this level in secondary, they feel you will not be able to fix their problems. And so they do not want to tell you because they don't think they want you to fix their problems. Most of us parents, we fix our children's problems. They are hurt, we sort them out. They have been abused, we sort them out. And they don't want, they want to deal with their own issues. Remember, this is an age they want to know who they are and what their likes and things are. So they don't tell you. Another thing is that they don't want you to get mad. They know how mad you can get. They know how bad you can deal with issues. I want to give you an example. My son one time and his friend, we went for a camp, and at the camp, there was one evening, it was raining, and my son comes to the hall in the rain from wherever he was. And I told him, son, why are you coming at this time? He started to explain. I rebuked him. A friend of mine next to me told me, don't be quick to rebuke your son. Even children have tales to tell. And so later I called him, son, tell me what happened. And when he explained to me what had befallen him, that he came in the rains, I realized I was quick to judge him. I had to apologize and tell him I was wrong. Many times we get mad, sometimes without listening to them. And so they don't tell us because they know how mad we can get. Another reason they don't want to tell us is that you will not understand. You will not understand. This is a universal disconnect between parents and teens. You may even remember feeling that way about your parents. I don't know whether you have had parents come to ask you in your teen years questions and you feel, why are they asking me? This is my life. These are my things. But you see, now that we are parents, we forget that we were once teens and we act as though we are saints and these are sinners, as though we had never made mistakes. They're the first ones to make mistakes. And so they don't want to tell us things because we will not understand. We never come down to their level. We want them to understand us. Then point number 5, and very important point, is poor relationship. Our relationship with our children are based most often on rules. Don't do this, don't come late, don't do this, don't, and if you do this, you will see. They're based on rules, and rules never build relationships. Our children feel that they are not taken seriously, and they are stamping their power. They want to be heard. You see, when you give rules and you have no relationship, what happens? The children start rebelling. So in rebellion, they are communicating. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be understood. Relationships are developed when people spend time together. And so emotional connectedness is very necessary. Clear and open, frequent communication is very important. So as we talk to one another, parents, I think it's time you asked yourself, what's my relationship with my daughter? Are they comfortable sitting down with you and talking with you? I'm not saying this because I've succeeded. I'm saying this because I'm also asking myself at this particular time. We are so used to rules. That's how we were brought up, with rules. We had no relationship with our parents. We feared them. You hear them and you remember the things, the chores that you were told to do. And if you have not done, then you quickly run to them. So you hear your mom coming and you know noise is coming. And so you want to get busy and get away so that you do not deal with those noise. Why are the shoes out here? Why is the food not cooked? Why didn't you go to the river? Why? They don't come in and greet you. And so we have no relationship. I'm moving very quickly because we do not have much time. So what are we to do? What are we to do with our children? Now that we know many of them do not want to talk to us because they do not want to overwhelm us, because they do not want us to fix their problems, because they don't want us to get mad, and mostly because we do not understand. I want to take you back to this quote I started with. Sometimes we need someone to simply be there, not to fix anything or to do anything in particular, but just let us feel we are cared for and supported. This is very important. It's very important in our relationship with our children. It's very important when a friend is grieving. It's very important when someone is going through challenges. Sometimes we are to fix. If I were you, I would do this and this. Why can't we do this and this? Let's do it this way. Sometimes someone just wants to talk and be heard and not be judged and not be given solutions. In counseling, we say solution is within the person, what they need to be done, what they need to have an environment where they can be able to get that solution and deal with the problem. So what are we supposed to do? One, don't lecture or tell your teen how you feel. Don't start lecturing them. You know how you have upset me. You know how I brought you up. You know how people look upon our family. What have you brought upon us now? Did you do this? You know, we start lecturing them and telling them a lot of things. And you know what our teams hear when we start lecturing them? Blah, 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 blah. And that's it. And you have not communicated at all. So as an adult, you need to control your emotions. These are challenges. They're trying to understand who they are. They are dealing with growth spurt. They are dealing with a lot of emotions. The brain that is for judgment is not fully developed. They are using what we call the amygdala, the the part of the brain which deals with emotions. And so you, who is the adult, then you need to control your emotions. You know, my sons now are grown. The things I allow in my house, if you told me that when my children were small, I will tell you over my dead body. I used to see some parents whose children are big and they are behaving in a certain way. And I say, it cannot be. Why would a parent allow their child to behave like that? Now that children are big, I understand. You know what they say? If you live in a glass house, do not throw stones. Now I understand. So what am I saying? Don't lecture or hurt your child. Don't start telling them how you feel. Number two, try to have positive interactions. For example, this young girl who comes and tells you her friends are trying to force her to take drugs. Try to understand the scenario. What happened? How did it feel? How did you deal with it? Don't start telling you. I know now you are dealing with drugs. You've just come to test my knowledge, my understanding. No, empathize. Empathy is very important. Try to wear your child's shoes and try to understand which world they are walking in. In this world we live in, there is so much noise. So much noise our children are listening to. But if you want your voice to be heard, if you want it to be the loudest amidst all the noise, then you need to empathize with your child. You need to show empathy. You need to validate their feelings. When they come hurt and crying, don't tell them, don't be a sissy. You ought to stand up. You're a man now. Men don't cry. Things like that. Empathize. You're hurting. I can imagine how it feels. Please tell me more. What happened? So that they feel heard. They feel accommodated. They feel like they belong. Empathy is very important. Validate their feelings. Show them that you trust them. Show them that you trust them. Yesterday, I was talking to my niece who was a teenager, and she has just bought the teenager a phone. And she said, I told him that I'm not going to his phone. I would want him to tell me every communication. And then she says, he told me that you talked. Is that true? You see, sometimes we need to show trust until they give us reason not to trust them. And give praise when they need it. When someone has done good, don't tell them, oh, you are a good boy. Tell them, this is well done. You went to school, you got A. I'm so proud of your A. Don't tell them, I'm proud of you. Proud of you in what? Be specific on what you are proud of. And when they've done wrong, sit them down and explain to them what wrong they've done and what it means to their growing up. Then we need to engage in activities that we once enjoyed with our young people. You see, we are so busy in the office. Let me tell you, parents, if you died today, your office will replace you immediately. It will replace you immediately. But if you die today, your children will be motherless for life or fatherless for life. So let's have time for our families. We come home with our files, with our computers, and we continue. Now that we are working from home, we lock ourselves in our rooms and we say, no child here. And we tell them what is more important to us, which is work. It's true, you need that work to provide, but let the children know that other than work, you love them, you care about them. I like the way that woman put it. Tell your children you love them. It starts with us as parents, even married couples. You don't tell your wife you love him. You don't tell your husband you love. It's a sign of weakness. They should know I love them. But what's so wrong? What will happen to you if you said, I love you, my children, I care about you? My father is 96 years old. Every time he calls me, he says, I love you, my children. And I tell him, I love you, daddy. You see, it's a relationship. Let them know they are loved. Even when you are correcting them, correct them from a point of love, not as a disciplinarian. The next thing you do, so if it's cooking, sit down, tell them, come, let's cook today. Let them get messy and cook and enjoy together. Do something. If it's playing games, play games. Those are your children. They value, let them know they are valued. The next thing is sit down to meals together. I made a mistake there. Sit down and have meals together. Have meals together. When I grew up, we used to eat from one big plate. Na tunakaa kila mtu na sahani yake, we eat ugali from one plate. Siku hizi kila mtu anakula at their own time. And if you get to eat together, you are eating in front of your favorite TV program. And when the TV goes on, communication goes down. It goes off. Someone has said that a TV is a mono-eyed person in our houses. And that, when we are watching the TV, we are happy, we are laughing, we are communicating with the TV, and we are enjoying it. And one child wrote a conversation to the teacher and said, I wish I was a TV, because my parents interact with the TV. My parents laugh at the jokes of the TV. I really wish I was a TV. Parents, let's have dinner time together. Elder Tugum said it. Have dinner time together. Switch off that TV, switch off your mobile phones and talk with one another uninterrupted. Let it be a time of bonding, of discussing, of understanding your children. Sometimes when the TV goes off is when you realize you have children in the house. When power goes off, you realize you have children in the house, because then the gadgets are off and everything is off. You have nothing to do except talk to your family. So we talk to your family because we are forced. Let's have time to interact. Sit down at meals. And if your teenager is not talking to you at all, take a road trip. I'm telling you, if you are able to drive or stay in a bus with your child together for hours, you will find something to talk about. And that might be the starting point. Let's not be so rigid. When they were small, we were ordering them around, telling them, go, come here. What have you done? But now they're teenagers. They're beginning to reason. They can get abstract concepts. Tell them, even when they go wrong, sit down with and discuss issues. Let's not keep commanding them when they are growing up, you know, authoritative parents. Okay, I'm about to finish. To give 3 scenarios as I finish. How silent is silent treatment? How silent is the silent treatment? You see from our children, once a daughter used to be besties with you. She told you everything, and nowadays she shut you out and only shares her private thoughts with friends. What does this girl need? She just needs connection. She's trying to find herself. She's trying to connect more with her friends. And all you need is just connect with her. Don't lecture her. Don't, you know, do all those don'ts. Spend time and understand her. Give her time. The second scenario is your once lovely and affectionate child now responds to you with one word answers and annoyed eye rolling. We know that eye rolling, don't we? He spends as little time with you as possible and seems to reserve all his enthusiasm for his friends. What does this child need? This child needs understanding, because in their rebellion, maybe they are saying something. You need to build boundaries. Show this child that you are the authority in a good way. Sit down and tell them certain things are not allowed in the home. The third scenario is a worrisome scenario, which I want to finish with. Your child speaks to no one and spends all her time in a room with the door closed. She has withdrawn from friends, lost interest in activities that once gave her pleasure, and has grown increasingly isolated. This is a case for further investigation. There are three things might be happening here. This child is either in the process of having a mental illness, which can be depression or any other, because it's not normal for a child to close themselves in their room and, you know, everybody out, plus friends, plus interests, plus family. So there might be some mental illness developing. In further investigation, this child might have gone through some form of abuse, and we know secondary schools have a lot of abuses. So please find out. The third one, the child might be indulging in drugs and substances of abuse. So we need to investigate some of these cases when it gets to this, that a child is in the room the whole day, hataki kuongea na mtu, hataki kuonana na mwingine, does not like or enjoy anything. This we need to investigate, because our children need to be protected in our homes, they need to be loved, they need to be heard, listened to, and we listen to understand. We don't listen to answer, but listen to understand. And so I want to stop it there, and I want to thank you for coming, because by interacting with one another, we encourage one another, we build relationships, and learn from one another, and we become better parents. May the Lord bless you. Thank you. Mentor George Omanya, please take over. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Our Ebo Florence, that was a very powerful presentation. How I wish we could go on and on. But that is why we said this training will be in phases. Like there's part one. Part one is today, and then we shall see another best day. Then we do part two of these. You understand, these facilitators have a lot in plate to really help us. So your video should be on. Then we appreciate our Ebo Florence Onsando. She has told us a lot of great stuff, yes? So thank you so much, Flo. There was a question I saw somewhere, but I want us to bring in Dr. Njoroge. We want also to keep time, yeah? To keep time. I've seen also Monica saying great presentation. That's good. Kamati ya Rochafu, I hope hatuna watu hapa leo. Okay, let us appreciate Florence like this. Yeah, if your video is not on, I don't know when it should be on. Thank you so much. Florence, may God bless you. Those were huge words, and you are God sent at the right time. As much as you bless us, may God also bless you beyond borders. Thank you so much. Florence has talked a lot about things, building trust, the power of communication, words, understanding, and noise, you know, poor relationship. By the way, let me tell you parents, if we are not careful, we shall be solving issues like every day. But I don't want us to go there, because if you don't want to build a relationship with your children, that is where the problem will begin. And you see, building a relationship, the way Elder Collins has told us, is not about what? It is not about being authoritative. Yes, I understand kuna wazazi hapa wako wakali mpaka watoto wakisikia tu you are coming back home from job, wengine wanakimbia, wanatamani hata kuingia wajifiche ndani ya thermos. Just imagine, yeah, which means ukali mno. You will never have time with the child. So please, I hope we are going to learn something. There's something called self-esteem. Self-esteem is very paramount. You know, there are children, just the way Florence had told us, there are children who used to be very open to you, who used to be very, joyous when they are doing some specific task. But nowadays, they have lost the energy. And you are asking yourself, why? What is happening? You know? Yeah. Self-esteem is very important. And we need to pump self-esteem in these children. Because anytime a child will have low self-esteem, this child will not help you. This child will not help the society. Because with low self-esteem, the child, number one, will not even realize his own or her strength. And you see, if a child does not understand, I'm gifted in this area, this is my talent, this is my what, then this child will not help us so much in the community. So allow me to just put on your questions there. Let me bring in Dr. Mbugua for 10 minutes, then at least we can react on these questions, and then we see the ways forward. Pastor wangu, please, karibu sana, time yetu imespendiwa sana, but I know you are always a man of his words, eh? So karibu sana, Pastor wangu, and then we shall have questions here. Of course, then I get back to you guys, you help us answering these questions, then we call it a day. Pastor, karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Brother Austin, for inviting me to participate in this discussion. And you requested me to talk about self-esteem, and indeed, this has been my work for about 3 months. I have been speaking to 35 WhatsApp groups with members from all continents. And we are talking about parents and how they can foster self-esteem in their children. And my co-facilitators, Eroda Togom and my sister, they have mentioned some of the things that are involved in self. Because of the time, allow me to go straight to the point. There are activities you as a parent, you can engage yourself in team in your conditional love. And conditional love means some things you may not love, you may not like in your child, but you need to accept your child unconditionally. Our sister has mentioned tough things that you may hear about your child, and you may abhor your child and say, I disown you. But you need to accept your child unconditionally, to love them no matter what. Even if they make mistake, you tell them you are against the fault, not against them. And when you correct them, you do it with love, which is unconditional. I don't want to belabor myself on this kind of unconditional love. I would like to go to the next point, that you as a parent, you need to pay attention. And each of the I have mentioned or each has mentioned the ability to your child to emphasize the issue of paying attention, because you may be with your child, you may be present with your child, but you are not paying attention. Just like some of our bosses, you may visit in their offices, and yet you are in the office, but the guy or the madam is communicating over the phone. You are in the office for 1 hour, and maybe he has only spent 5 minutes with you. The rest of the time, he or she is doing other things. And you as a parent, you need to take a break from busy lifestyle and listen. Be a listener to your child. Willingness to listen attentively without any disturbance. Even if it means you switch off your phones, your gadgets, you cannot purport you are attentive to your child, and yet you are watching a match, maybe between Arsenal or maybe with another. I'm not interested so much in soccer. And your time you are purporting, you are listening to your child. You business.
Pastor, check your network. You had network issues, huh? Sorry for that, but I hope you'll be back shortly. Now, just before he comes, there is a question here. Flo, are you still there?
Yes, I'm in.
Yeah, there's a question here that was asked by this parent. Allow me to read it. How do we build this emotional relationship with my son? My sons, huh? How do I build emotional relationship with my sons? Okay, that is the question. If you can take like 5 seconds to answer that.
Thank you. I'm not able to share my PowerPoint presentation because it has many other Matagodanians. So allow me not to remove the other rubbish underneath. Emotionally to connect with your children, many times we want to connect